Hello students, so if you recall, this is the information saying that the lines are perpendicular because the slope for AB is 0, the slope for BD is undefined, and so that means, if you recall, from this, when we have perpendicular when we have perpendicular lines, the slopes have to be opposite and reciprocals, but we also said that 0 and undefined, they also create those perpendicular lines, okay? So we also have DC 0, so that's perpendicular to BD, which is undefined, and AC is undefined, so that makes it perpendicular to DC because that's 0, okay? Undefined with 0 makes perpendicular lines. And finally, this undefined AC, it's perpendicular to AB because AB is 0 and AC is undefined. Okay, so having 4 right angles makes this possibly a square. Now we have to prove that they have the same measurement because all sides have to be congruent. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that part. We already proved that the slopes are opposite reciprocal. Okay, or that one is undefined, meaning vertical, and the other one is 0, meaning horizontal. Okay, now we're gonna prove that the sides are the same distance, and so that's why we're gonna be using the distance formula, which we also learned in previous lessons. And so we're gonna start by finding the distance of AB. So AB, and the distance formula, if you remember, is the square root, and then we open 2 parentheses with a plus in the middle. Okay, 2 parentheses, both square, and the plus in the middle, and then we're gonna have a minus in both parentheses, and we will always have y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. If you exchange the x's and the y, that's fine, it doesn't matter. Some people ask me also, what if I put y1 minus y2? And I said, that's fine, but you also have to change the order in here, x1 minus x2. Okay, so if not, just keep it simple, use this formula, and that's it. Okay, so the distance of AB, we use this formula, and again, this is the same formula that we used before for the previous lesson when we're just barely learning about the distance. And so point A is negative A, positive A. Point B is A, and we proceed to substitute. And so y2, so this is x1, y1, this is x2, y2, because it's 0.1 and 0.2. And so similar than with the slope, you just go this minus this, so y2 minus y1, and x2 minus x1, okay? Just like the same jump. So y2 minus from the formula y1, square that, plus x2 minus x1, so it's a minus from the formula, and then x1 is negative a, so minus from the formula, negative from the a. And so this is going to become a big plus. 2 negatives together make a big plus. And so we end up with the square root of a minus a is 0 square, plus a is 2a. Oops, I forgot the square here. 2a square. And so that's going to be equal to 0 square is 0. We're just going to make that disappear right there. And so we're going to have 2a squared would be 4a a squared. And how do you find that? Well, it's 2a times itself 2 times. And so 2 times 2 equals 4, and a times a equals a squared. Okay, so the distance is equals to the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a square is a, and so that will be the distance from that. So take a minute to copy this. I would pause the video and then let's see. Let's do now. So we looked for AB. Now let's look at BD. So BD. The point for B is AA. The point for D is A negative A. And so the same distance formula equals square root, the eyes with the eyelashes, the nose in the middle, and the 2 eyes. Okay, and so we have y2 minus y1, and the other one is x2 minus x1, and so it's going to be the distance is equals to y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, and so it's negative a minus a, that's going to be squared, plus a minus a, and that's going to be squared. We simplify each parenthesis, and so negative a minus a is negative 2a. Remember, excuse me, remember that when we have same signs, we add and keep the sign of the bigger one, or if they're the same, then keep the sign. Square that, plus a minus a is 0 square. So since it's 0 square is 0, and we add 0 to anything, that basically won't affect. We take the square root, and so negative 2a square is the same thing. I'm going to write this note because students kept having this question in class. This negative 2a square means multiply this base times itself 2 times. Okay, so it means negative 2a times negative 2a. And so negative times negative, positive. 2 times 2, 4. 8 times 8, a square. Okay, so it's going to be 4a square. Again, what is the square root of 4? The answer is 2. What is the square root of a square? It's only a. So again, you can see that the distance of AB, line segment AB, and BD, both are 2A and 2A, so that means that they are congruent. So far, those two sides are the same measurements, they're congruent. Let's check for the other ones, this side and this side, okay? So again, take a minute to pause the video, and that way you can copy it. But let me proceed to explain. Now we're gonna do CD, okay? Okay, so CD, we're gonna have, what's the point for CD? C is negative A, and D is A, negative A. And so the distance formula is D equals, again, square root. Open the 2 parentheses. Square both of them. Put a plus in the middle and minus, minus. Okay? And, again, it's going to be y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. And we proceed to substitute. We're going to substitute the y2. If you want to think of it as x1, y1, x2, y2, or you can just think of, also you can do that. So, okay, so y2 is negative a minus from the formula. Y1 is negative a. That's why you have two negatives, one from the formula and one from y1. Then x2 is a minus from the formula, and then x1 is negative a. Hopefully with this, using these colors, it can help you more. Remember that two negatives together, negative times negative is positive, negative times negative is positive. Some people like to put parentheses. If you need to see that, go ahead and do it. D is equal to square root of negative a plus a. Same signs you add, but in here is different signs. Subtract, and so a minus a is 0. And a plus a, that's 2a. Take the square root of that. 0 square is 0 square, which is 0. And basically that's going to disappear eventually. So, and here, 2a square is equals to 4a square. And so what is the square root of 4a square? Well, the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a square is a. And let me show you how does that work in a little note in here. So some people have questions about how to find it. Remember that for the square root, to simplify, you just find the factors, prime factorization, and say we make pairs in here, and remember that we get one of them and the other one disappears. So you just send the captain outside of the team, okay? And the same thing for the a square. So a square means a times a. So again, you make a pair. One is the captain goes up there, and the other one you just cross it out. So that's why it's 2a. Okay, some people see it also as, oh, square root cancel the square, so those cancel and your answer is just a. Okay, so either way is fine. Okay, and you just put it out there. Okay, so we had, if you recall, now it's 3 sides. This one is AB. Let me see if I can make it smaller. So you have AB is 2A, BD is also 2A, and now CD is also 2A. So far they have the same measurement. Let's do the last side, which is AC or CA. It doesn't matter which one you put first. Let me put AC. So the point for A is negative A, positive A. And the point for C is negative A, negative A. And the formula is D is equals to the square root of, sorry that it's overlapping here a little. Okay. And you get the minus and the minus. And so y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Hopefully by writing it over and over and over, it's going to get easier to remember it. And so now we're going to substitute y2 minus y1. So it's going to be y2 is negative a minus a plus x2 minus x1. So negative a minus from the formula negative a negative because of this value. And so D is equals to square root of Negative a and negative a makes negative 2a square plus, in here we have those where we have negative and negative becomes positive, the big positive. And so one negative, one positive, we subtract, and a minus a is 0. So 0 squared, which is going to disappear. And the distance is equals to the square root of negative 2a times negative 2a is positive 4a squared. Let me show you that because I saw a lot. Even though I explained like 3 times, I noticed that some people were confused. So negative 2a, everything to the second power means that you're going to multiply the whole thing by itself 2 times. But the whole thing meaning also the minus. So negative 2a times negative 2a, negative times negative, positive. 2 times 2, 4. A times a squared. And remember that positive exponents, we don't put the plus unless there is another term in here. We want to separate them. Okay, so that's why it becomes positive, because negative times negative, positive. Finally, what's the square root of 4? 2. What's the square root of a squared? A. And so, guess what? All four sides have the same measurement. So now, from the previous video and this, we have learned that this figure has the same distance for all four sides. Let me show you the figure. And therefore, the sides are congruent. So, it is a triangle, a square. Okay, that's the characteristics of squares. 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles. Okay, we also know that opposite sides are parallel. So let me tell you a little bit, even though I'm getting ahead of my head, but parallel lines, the slopes, parallel lines, the slopes are the same. Okay, and let me show you going back and having that note. So let me move this out of the way. Okay, these are congruent sides, so that part we already know, that makes it a square. For parallel lines, the slopes are the same. So let me go back to these notes that we had before. The opposite lines are AC and BD. So AC is right here, that's the slope, and BD. Notice how they both have the same slope, undefined and undefined. And we also have AB and DC or CD, doesn't matter. So this line with this one, the slope is 0 for AB, and for DC is 0. So also the same line, so that means that they are parallel because they have the same slope. Okay, so with this concludes 11.5, and now you can work on your assignment, so have fun.